for eyebrow and eyelash tinting, brown, black, red, and blue. You can use them individually or you can mix them. We have applicators, 2 bowls, one for each of the tint. I'm going to do the lash and the brow at the same time. Don't get the tints mixed up. Make sure you know what color you're using at all times, or you may tint somebody's lash or eyebrows blue, and that would be bad. This bowl will have warm water in it to remove the tint. These are shields or guards, they're called. You can use these or we can make our own. I prefer to make my own because I find that the tint seeps through these, and you could stain underneath somebody's eye, which isn't very nice. So I'm going to make my own with a Gibson towel and some water. This is called a barrier cream, and what the barrier cream does is literally creates a barrier between the shield and the skin. So if you do get tint on the eyelid, it will come off. You're not going to stain your client's eyelid or eyebrows in the wrong spot. Make my eye shields for the lash tint. So I've just taken a Gibson towel, fold it in half so I have double the thickness, and I got it wet, squeezed out all the excess water, and I'm going to just cut crescent-shaped thingies, eye patches out, and this is what we are going to use under her eyes, okay? And I'm going to save this because I can always use this to wipe something up, so we don't want to be wasteful. Sorry, I keep getting you mixed up. I'm going to take some barrier cream out of the jar, put it on my wrist, and notice I'm not double dipping. I'm going to flick that around, and that's more than enough. So right under Jamie's eyes, I'm just going to have Jamie look way up towards me, okay, and right underneath her eyes, without getting it on her lashes, I'm going to apply this barrier cream, and it has to go on fairly thick. What's the idea of the barrier cream again? Can somebody tell me?
So you can get it off, you stain the stuff on.
Right, so the tint doesn't seep through our guards and stain the skin. So the barrier cream is going to create a barrier between the skin and our Gibson towel.
What if you get the barrier cream on the eyelash?
If you do, that's a very good question, Aaliyah. If you get the barrier cream on the lashes, you have to make sure that you get it off because the tint won't penetrate through the cream. That's the whole idea. Okay, so we're going to put this right up underneath Jamie's lashes and make sure that all of her lashes are above the shield. Okay, and that cream's also going to help this to stick a little bit. Is that comfortable?
Yeah.
And throughout the whole service, you want to make sure that you keep asking your client whether or not she's comfortable. A lot of people at this point will blink hard, which will push their lashes underneath the shield. So you have to make sure that your client's comfortable and relaxed, and that she doesn't blink too hard. You okay? What color would you like your lashes done?
I don't know.
How about blue-black?
Okay. How much does this normally cost?
Depends at the spa that you work at, but typically for lashes, I would say $25. Brows don't take nearly as long, so you don't need to charge as much, but I would say for sure $15.
We did this in my cosmetology class in grade 10.
Do you really?
Well, we didn't get to, we got to watch it.
You got to watch it, yeah. Okay, so you can see I did get some cream on her lashes. I'm going to just kind of clean them off. There, you okay?
Yep.
Okay, just close your eyes gently. Make sure that you ask your client whether or not they have contacts on. Why would that matter? Can anybody guess?
If you push on the eye, you're moving around with
Irritation, maybe.
He's closing
Those are all good reasons, but the reason I'm looking for is if you do get tint into the eye, it could stain a contact lens.
Oh.
So you really want to make sure that you tell your clients, if you have them on the phone when you're booking their appointment, initially, if you do wear contacts, please take them out for that service because you don't want to risk getting it in their eye. When you're doing this service, chances are at some point you will get it into somebody's eye. It's not a huge deal. It's not going to do any permanent damage at all to your client, but it does burn. It's not the best feeling thing in the world. Not extremely
Getting soap in
painful,
your eye.
but it's, yeah, it burns a little bit. Nothing that we can't handle, and we will get through it if somebody does get it in their eye, and I'll show you how to get it out if you do get it in somebody's eye. 'Cause it will happen. There, now Jamie, you get to keep your eyes closed for 20 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and always make sure that you say that to your client as well too, because there's been numerous times when I've gotten it on somebody's lashes, and all of a sudden they'll open their eyes and they'll go, "Hey, is this the room?" One lady sat up straight. She goes, "Is this the room where you do tanning?" And I went, "No, close your eyes." It's not. But you want to explain that in advance to your client so they don't open your eyes. This is a 3% volume peroxide. Can anybody tell me what a peroxide does to hair?
Bleaches it.
Other than that, how does it bleach
It develops it.
Yeah. What is
Takes
the,
the color out of it.
what is the development process?
Colors
What does it do? What does it do to the anatomy of the hair?
Changes the cuticle.
Yeah. In what way? Keep going.
It changes the cuticle of the hair to it kills it but and replaces it.
Okay. What it does, we all know that the hair, the outside of the hair is like shingles on the roof, right? They overlap. What peroxide does, whether it's a low percentage volume peroxide like this one, or a high volume peroxide, what it does is it opens up those shingles. So what we can do when the shingles are open is deposit color into them. So that's what this is doing. It's going to open up the hair shaft so we can get the dye or the color in there on a permanent level. And that's why it won't wash off, because it's absorbed right into the hair itself. It doesn't sit on the outside of the hair like mascara does. Does anybody have any questions about that?
If you wanted to lighten the eyelashes first before putting in like a blue, say, if you wanted to lighten them up from what they were so it would stand out, would you use a higher volume? Or?
No, this is the only volume peroxide that they sell for tint because you're working on the eye. So you don't want a high volume peroxide or it's really going to hurt and possibly cause blindness. What you can use is hydrogen peroxide in liquid form, which is 5%. I wouldn't go any higher than that, and that's the stuff that you buy at the drugstore. But this is safer.
Is it possible for your eyelashes to fall out after getting this?
Well, I would imagine that anything's possible. I've never had it happen. No, because we're depositing color. We're not lightening the hair. So it's a similar service to coloring your hair darker than it already is. We're not adding a bleach, so we're not going to lighten them. We're not going to damage them per se. So we are going to do a blue-black.
Here's your blue.
Thank you. So I'm going to take about half an inch of the black. And about the same amount of the blue. just a drop or two of the peroxide. So I have a little bit, I have the color all mixed up. And I'm going to start a little bit at a time and just apply to the ends of Jamie's lashes until they're all lying down. Next semester I will teach you how to do the top and the bottom separately. It's done exactly the same way, but you just have to be really, really careful because you do the bottom lashes with the eyes open and apply it to the bottom first, and then have the client close their eyes and then apply it to the top. But we're going to do this way to begin with. And you can see I'm just kind of spinning the tint onto her lashes, working my way closer to the lash line as we go. You okay, Jamie?
Mm-hmm. What if you get on the skin?
Well, I'm being really careful not to.
Does it stain?
It will stain, but it will wash off. Eventually. It will lighten. I'm going to let that sit, and I'm going to put a little bit of barrier cream up here too. So when I remove this, it will come off, just in case we get any up here. You still okay, Jamie?
Yep.
Sorry.
That's so cool.
So I'm kind of pushing the dye down a little bit. Not down and into the root, but down onto the shield, because I want to get the color right through the top onto the bottom lashes as well.
It kind of looks purple, but will it turn out more blue?
It will be a little, yeah, this is blue and black mix, so that's why we're getting the color that we're getting. But it will be a little bit bluer on the lashes. You'll see the blue more. And just to make sure that you get all the lashes, even the little guys, right in the corner. And we don't want to put too much dye, like you don't want to just slop it on, because the more color that you put on the shield, the more chance you have of it seeping through. So we're just using what we need. The neater you stay doing this, the less likely you're going to get it in their eye. So once you have all of the tint applied and you believe that you have all of the lashes covered, you okay, Jamie?
Yep.
Okay. You can just take your fingers and just kind of lightly pull up on the shields and then let them go. So they're not stuck right to the skin anymore. We've just kind of lifted them and put a little bit of space in there again so the color doesn't seep through.
We just did them not this week, the week before.
Okay, so I'm going to apply this all the way around Jamie's natural brow. If you do get some on the natural brow, just take it off the other end of the Q-tip.
Can you get it out if you accidentally drop it in their hair?
No, that's a very good question though. The one and only time I've ever dropped the brush, I was working on somebody who was blonde, of course, and it was one of my best friends. The only thing you can do is say, "I'm sorry. You might have a little bit of blue in your hair." So be careful when you're doing it.
So would you wrap them? Could you do a head wrap on them?
Wrapping them would be a good idea. Now, what I'm doing right now is just lightly applying. I'm not even touching Jamie's skin. I'm just applying it to the hair. Sorry, can you stop writing on the end of the bed because we're kind of going up and down. That's okay. Kind of going up and down a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to do one brow. And I'm going to count to myself in my head to about 60. For somebody that has the second hand on their watch. Who has a watch on? You don't wear watches. You're going to need to start wearing watches.
25.
Tell me when a minute is up on the camera, okay? How do you guys know what time it is if you don't wear a watch?
Or cell phone?
What if there's no clock in the room and you're not allowed to bring your cell phones into class? A watch will be your best friend when you're in this business. I'm lost without my watch. I need to know because you have like 5 minutes to your next client, 10 minutes to your next client. It's constantly all about time. So get a watch and get used to wearing it. And if you can get one that's waterproof. Okay, so we've been about a minute. Now I'm going to use my Gibson towel that's already wet, and I'm going to wipe the color off without taking too much of the barrier cream off.
Are you rubbing it in the skin now? Like you're pressing on the skin?
Yeah, I'm just rubbing it to get the color off, the tint. Okay, see the difference? It's subtle. So what I would do is I'm going to do both brows. I'm going to let Jamie look at it in the mirror, and if she wants it darker, then we'll do a little bit more again, leave it on for 30 seconds and take it off. It's better to go little bit by little bit by little bit and try to make them lighter because we can't make them lighter. So we're just going to make them a little bit darker and then a little bit darker.
That's a good look.
What if one turns out really dark and the other one turns out
Then you have to do the other one up to the same because you don't want two different colored brows. That's why I like to count and make sure. Some people will apply this one and then apply this one, and then take this one off, and then take this one off, and one will always end up being a different color. So, if you could let me know when 1 minute is up now. It usually takes me about 30 seconds to apply it, and then I count. The lashes we don't have to worry so much about because we're going to leave it on for the full 20 minutes. You really can't do them too dark, so it's not a matter of getting them even. What we need when we're removing the tint is a lot of Q-tips and a garbage can close by. I'm going to start on this eye and hold down the shields at the corners, and with the Q-tip I'm going to take it, gently place it on her eye and roll the color away from her eyelid.
But there's nothing on the Q-tip, right?
No, it's just a clean Q-tip. Okay, so when that one gets full, you can flip it over and gently roll it away. And then throw that out. Get another one. The idea behind this is to get as much of the tint off as possible before we take the shields off. Okay, so now I have the majority of the tint off, but there will still be some in along her lash line. So I'm going to take another Q-tip and gently work it back and forth right along her lashes. Okay, so there's one so far. We're just going to tell Jamie, just make sure you keep your eyes closed, okay, for the next few minutes. You don't want your client to think that you're done at this stage and open her eyes.
Do any guys get their eyelash tinted?
Yeah, I used to do my brother-in-law all the time because he had beautiful blue eyes, but a sandy blonde colored hair, and he just had really, really pale eyelashes. And then he would make me promise that I wouldn't tell the rest of my friends. It's like, don't tell anybody you're doing this. But more and more men are having these services done all the time, so it's becoming more acceptable, especially for waxing. I've had a lot of fun over the years waxing my male friends. I won't say any names since the camera's on.
It's fun waxing boys.
Okay, so Jamie, just keep your eyes closed, okay? I'm going to pull off the shield, throw them in the garbage. Jess, can you hand me some? I'm going to get some cotton. I'm going to get it wet over here. But you want to get the majority of the water out, because the more water that we put on our eye right now, the more chance of this tint getting in there. So we're going to squeeze as much out as we can and just gently go back and forth. You okay? Over her lashes. Just keep your eyes closed for a few more minutes. This is the stage where it's really, really possible to get tint in their eye because this is wet and we're kind of pushing it around in there, and I'll show you why in a few seconds. We need to get as close to the root of the lash as possible, but then that's how we risk getting it in their eye. So Jamie, open up your eyes. They feel okay?
Yep.
Okay, see the tint underneath her lashes? That's really common. That's going to happen every single time you do a tint. So you need to gently pull it away from the eyeball and just kind of wipe underneath. Close. And we're going to give these another good wiping. Open. How are you?
Good.
Good. You're all done. That's it.